If I was smart, I would have dug the trenches differently beforehand.
I've spent a lot of time researching foundations, footers, trying to figure out what the best approach is for us to move forward. And what I've learned is that there are just numerous approaches, and it depends on what your end goals are, whether it's cost effectiveness or energy efficiency. There are just numerous ways to build a new home construction foundation. It also depends whether you're in a northern climate versus a southern climate. We're here in the southeast, so we're more of a southern climate. And there's so many different aspects to a foundation. It's sometimes hard to figure out what's the right way. Now, irregardless of what the right way is, I do notice that every time I pull up one of these cross sections, that every one of them is always accounting for perimeter drainage along the exterior facing side of the footer. Sometimes on the interior facing side. But so I'm pulling on this diagram here, and you'll notice on the outside of that footer there is a PVC pipe that is acting as it's encased in gravel, or there's gravel surrounding it, and there's a silk fabric surrounding that as well. And the purpose of that PVC pipe, it's going to have holes at the bottom, and its purpose is to collect water that may infiltrate the exterior of your foundation to prevent that water from getting to the interior, getting into the crawl space in this case. And what it'll do is it'll collect that water and divert it to wherever low spot on your property you define. And I continually see this type of diagram, this type of drainage setup, and I decided that while I'm at this level, before I do the wood form framing, I'm going to go ahead and account for the drainage tile on the outside of the footer. And so what I'm doing over the next day or two is I'm taking this post hole bigger bar and just cutting 4 or so inches out of the exterior side of the footer. This is not an easy task. It's a lot of work. It's something that, had I thought beforehand that I was going to do this, I would have had a somewhat different approach. But for now, this is the best path forward, so that we can get PVC pipe, 4-inch PVC pipe, down next to the footer that we're going to make here. So anyway, just to summarize, we have the footer in this diagram, and the purpose of the footer is to bear the weight of a stem wall. In our case, it'll probably be a block stem wall, and it bears the weight of the stem wall and really distributes. It's wider. It's going to be 16 inches or so wide, and it's going to distribute that weight into the undisturbed soil below. And then on top of that stem wall, we're going to do traditional wood framing for our home. So that's kind of the update. It's kind of an interim step before we're going to do the wood forms, which I described at least a bit, described in the last episode, the idea of forming the footers, getting everything leveled perfectly. So this is an interim step, but we're going to get the wood order in here shortly. Actually, it's already in, and get a rebar order spec'd out as well.
So the trenches are 24 inches wide. By code, the footer only has to be 16 inches wide, so that gives me 8 inches, 4 inches on either side currently, which is how I laid it out. What I should have done is I should have offset the dig to the outside, which would give me the full 8 inches that I'm trying to make up for now, which would have been really great had I thought about it in the first 10. If your footer needs drainage on the exterior side and you've got a 24-inch bucket, offset it to the outside. All right, back to it.